So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Richard Taylor back with another video about something that has been troubling me for quite some time, and it has recently been kind of highlighted in certain instances that has happened lately. So I am going to talk about a big problem. Of course, it doesn't affect everybody in the city and the county. So it's not a big problem to some. But, for those who are affected by it and for those with the compassion uh, of humanity that everyone is supposed to have, they may be affected by it as well. But what I'm talking about is the homeless population or the resident challenged, I think is a better way to say it. I know everybody want to be politically correct these days, so don't call them homeless. It's call them, resident challenged or whatever. But nevertheless, we're going to use homeless for clarity in this video. Now, I was first made aware. I moved back to Goldsboro in March of 2020 after leaving recovery program myself in Asheville, North Carolina. So I moved back. I continued on my recovery, and which I will be celebrating 4 years in November. So Lord willing, thank God for that. But I moved back and started going to Gold's Gym. I think it was during the pandemic as well. So when Gold's Gym finally opened back up, I would ride down. I would leave Parkway or Park Avenue, whatever that street is by Sam's, and then I would turn down Royal Street. So, all during the night, a lot of times when I would see, or when I would leave the gym, I would see people walking and things, and, it would be dark, and sometimes I would almost hit individuals on the side of the road or pull up, and then next thing you know, somebody's standing or right by your car, and you got to swerve and things like that. Started seeing them at the laundromat, in different places hanging around Walmart. I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot of, there's a great number of homeless people here. And then the weather started changing. I think it turned fall. And so the leaves started falling off of the trees. And so one day I'm riding down Royal headed towards Spence between Spence and Berkeley. And I'm headed towards Spence. So I'm looking, I see, I look over there through the woods, and I actually see tents, and not just one tent, like a whole community, like an intricate, almost tenement or apartment building of tents. And it came to me that, okay, this is where all of the people are coming from. People are actually living in the woods. Now, I had been to L.A. That same year, so I saw people living under the bridges with entire like living rooms and setups and everything like that, and they were living in the bridges and Skid Row and everything. So I saw that there, which was also amazing because once again, in a country as rich as America and city as bustling and economically developed as L.A., to see people living like that is somewhat hypocritical and shocking. Nevertheless, that's what it is in America. They say capitalism, in order for capitalism to thrive, there has to be poverty. So, nevertheless, I see that in Goldsboro. I'm like, no, are you kidding me? So that's when it first began to be relevant to me. Now, as I started, doing different stories about the town, and I started to see homeless people, at the Walmart and more, I began to say, I want to do a story on that. I want to go back there and interview, a few of those people and find out their stories, find out what it's like living out there. Are they safe? Do you feel safe? Why are you out here? Do you have family? And a couple of people I did talk to at Walmart off the record, just genuine concern or genuine inquisitiveness about their situation, about their homelessness and things like that, with family problems, whether it's, lack of job, whether it's drugs, whatever. But I never got a chance to actually go back there and, you know, interact with the people and see the environment, right? And so here lately, I've been seeing a pastor, and I'll say his name because he's a great. I wouldn't call him a friend because he's older than me, but he's a great pillar of the community. I remember him when I was out in the streets, and he would always come by and never judgmental. Talk to you, never shove God down your throat, but he'll give you bits and pieces here, but also he'll let you know he understands, and that's Pastor Timothy Whitfield. Shout out to Pastor Timothy Whitfield. If anybody knows him, make sure he sees this video. But I see him lately going out. I see him with his truck backed up on the little path, and he's feeding them. Giving them supplies, whatever the case may be. I think I don't know how often he does it, but I know I see pictures on his Facebook and social media periodically, which exhibits his charity towards those individuals. And so once again, that sparked the fire in me. So I gotta go back there. I gotta talk to somebody back there, right? And so then I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe a month and a half. My homeboy Taj Polak, former city councilman Taj Polak. Shout out to Taj Polak as well. He's been my friend since college. We shared some very trying times together at North Carolina Central, but he's remained my friend and close brother to this day. But he was getting rewarded or recognized for his service in serving the city council before his change in careers deemed it necessary for him to step down from the council. So he invited me there to that council meeting. Unfortunately, I had a call and I missed the presentation, but I did stay for the entirety of the meeting. And at that meeting, there was a young Caucasian woman who came in, and also with her African American boyfriend, and they sat down. And when the comment section or the comment time period arose for people to speak their grievances to the city council, this couple got up. Well, actually, not the couple. The woman got up and she's explained how she's homeless and how there's no affordable housing, how the hotels are filled, there's nowhere for them to go, there's lack of shelters, or the shelters are filled. Like she basically poured her heart out to the city council, and she's not the first, because once again, homelessness has been an issue, I guess, for quite some time. But nevertheless, the current mayor, David Ham, it was almost like he held up his hands. It was like, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. There's really nothing we can do. And it was almost dismissive. And then I think it was Councilwoman Brandy Matthews, who was like, wait a minute, we are this great city. There's got to be something we should do. And I think, she has advocated on this before, but, she kind of took the floor and, she petitioned the commission or entreated the commission to look more into this. Like, let's not just brush this lady off. Like, we can do something about it. So I think, that lit the fire in me that day as well, to actually see someone come up and talk and, almost be turned away or ignored, by those people who are in a position to make the change or to address this problem. So, that has caused me once again to revisit that cause. And so today I had some free time, and I said I'm going to go out here and try to engage with some of the people who stay in what they call Tent City. And as if anybody has been through there, there's a path when you turn on the Park Street headed toward Target, going to Berkeley. There's a path, a dirt path that you can drive down. And once again, before I knew there were people staying back there, I would see cars, parked at night with the lights on. I don't know if people were charging their phones or whatever, but I would see cars back there. So today, I decided to drive back there, and with the intention of, engaging someone, possibly getting their story, allowing them to let their voice be heard on what maybe the city can do for them, what resources they need, or just giving people an insight on what it is like to live in that manner. So I parked, right by the entrance. I went deep into the, I didn't go to the first path. I went all the way down to the little circular path. If you're familiar with what I'm saying, if you have saw that area. Nevertheless, so I get out the car. I start walking up the path, and I see, I see the tents on the left and on the right, before I even get up there. And so I see somebody, what I thought was somebody, walking, but it was just like some kind of setup they had or whatever. And I see like almost, I don't know if it's Halloween decorations hanging on trees, or is that something that, that is always there. Nevertheless, I didn't see anybody. And I didn't want to walk too far back there without seeing anybody. I was hoping I would see somebody like walking down the path, but that didn't happen. But I saw, the tent set up, and it's actually like, once again, pretty elaborate. Like they had tents, they had furniture, they had, they had it kind of enclosed. They actually had a gate. Once I saw the gate, in this particular tent to my right, I said, okay. I almost felt like I was imposing. I was imposing or trespassing. And so I didn't go any farther, but I did once again want to keep talking or continue to try to talk to somebody, but I never did. So I said, well, I think somebody told me that there was another settlement behind Ollie's, which is, not too far, right behind the gas station on Spence. So I drove through there. Once again, I didn't see anybody. And so coming out of the Bojangles parking lot, I see the black brother. Now, if you drive down Spence every morning and every day, it's a black brother. He has like 2 shopping carts. He has, all of his stuff piled up there. You'll see him sleeping. And I've seen him for, probably like a year. And so I saw him out there today when I was riding through through the parking lot of Walmart. I said, let me get out and talk to him, right? So I go get out, talk to him. He tells me, his name. I think his name is L. And he was telling me a little bit, about his situation. He said, he really liked to keep things to himself, but, he said his family, he was from, he goes and comes. Said his family was from Kinston and Goldsboro. He said he's just waiting his time. He's going to try to get out of here. But I don't know if he has any mental issues as well, because, as soon as I sat beside him, he pulled out a knife. He pulled out a knife and he started, he gave me that look, like, really what you want, So he started cleaning his nails with him. And I just told him who it was. Like, look, man, I'm Richard Taylor, man. I'm a concerned community citizens. I do a lot of videos and get people stories. And I asked him about, the woods back there. I said, what have you ever stayed in there? He was like, nah, man, you don't want to. Nah, I ain't never stayed back there. I ain't never going to. He was like, that's a bad place. Like, what you mean, man? He said, man, nah, that's a dangerous place. He said, my cousin got shot in the head. No, he said, my cousin stayed back there. So when he said my cousin stay back there, I said, oh, okay, well, maybe, we can go holler at him. I said it to myself. He said, yeah, my cousin stayed back there. I mean, he dead now. I said, yeah. He said, yeah, man, he got shot in the head. I said, yeah, back there? He said, yeah, man, yeah, back there. I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, man, it's pretty dangerous. You know what I'm saying? I told him I had just left back there. He was like, yeah, man, you be careful back there, And I asked him, did he want to share his story live? Of course, he was like, nah, man, I keep my story to myself, which I understood. Because, I didn't want to feel like I was, putting him on blast or making a spectacle out of him. But I really want people to see or hear, because we see these people all the time. And, we don't value them as humans. We see their situations, which we don't know. And we kind of pass them over, but the most valuable commodity we have on earth is human capital. That our revenue or that monetary economic capital, that change, that fades with the wind. It goes up and down. That changes all. So, but one thing about like humanity is the most valuable asset we have on earth, because without humanity, none of these things would exist. None of these inventions, none of the technologies we ignore, we enjoy or ignore as well. None of those exist. So that is my desire, to get these person stories out there. So after I finished talking to L, I drove back. I drove back through the parking lot, headed towards the woods again. Then I saw an older white gentleman. He was sitting almost like behind. I don't know if that's like a little eye place or something. It's right beside the gas station. He was sitting right there holding this sign. So I'm like, yo, man. I didn't get out the car and talk to him. I was like, yo, man, I said, you stay in the woods over there? He was like, nah, I don't stay in the woods. I have stayed in the woods, but nah. I said, where you stay? He said, well, I stay at the Irish Inn when I can. And so I said, yeah, I said, do you know anybody that stay back there? He said, yeah, I know a few people. I was like, yeah. I said, okay, man. Because I'm trying to, trying to talk to somebody or interview somebody back there. He was like, man, he said, that's a bad place. And when somebody gives me a general statement like that, I got to dig more into it. What do you mean it's a bad place? Man, it's a bad place, man. You go back there and you be stepping on all types of needles and things like that. So, according to him, and it makes sense that they're the majority of the people who live there are probably involved with substance abuse, which once again is a sickness, is a disease. So I don't use that as an excuse of saying, okay, well, they want to be out there. They're mentally sick. Drugs make you mentally sick. I am a witness to that. Nevertheless, a lot of people use that as justification of not helping them. Well, a lot of them don't want help. A lot of them are out there and they want to be out there. Yeah, because they're on drugs. Drugs, it is just a symptom of a deeper sickness. A lot of them, like even my guy L said when about his cousin get killed, he was like, man, that was some military shit. So I don't know what he implied by that, whether it was PTSD or whatever. However, it's definitely, I don't know whether the body was ever found or any cases. I didn't dig that deep, but he told me it was a while ago, whatever that means. A while could be a year, a while could be 2 or 3 months. Nevertheless, I know last year, I think when it was really cold at the beginning of the year around Christmas, everybody was talking about, I pray for the homeless, I pray for the homeless, I pray for the homeless. I'm like, we can pray, but to pray like we got somewhere for them to go. With all like I mentioned, I think in my Facebook post, I said if every church gives $1,000 or whatever, we'll have, or if everybody foregoes 1,000 people, I think I said forego a $200 gift, we have $200,000 to build a shelter or something like that. But it just, kind of disturbed me, that, we can just, say, okay, yeah, we'll pray for them. But when we have the resources, I think there's a scripture that says, if somebody comes to you and asks you for a coat, and you say, okay, well, no, but go, and you pray and you say, go be warm, but you don't give them a coat, then, your prayers are hypocritical. And I'm paraphrasing the scripture. Y'all can correct me or come back with that quote, put the scripture in the comments or whatever. But this dynamic once again kind of disturbs me, because of course we got the beautification of the downtown, we got the shopping areas, we got the Berkeley area and certain areas, Highway 70 that we kind of, we kind of upkeep, we're proud about. We stick our chest about. We got the base, we stick our chest out about the base, but then we sweep this, into the woods. And I'm going to read a couple of articles because I tried to find some articles about this. But what I see right here, and I only found about 4 or 5 articles. So if anybody else has some articles, please share it with me. I see a couple from 2021 with a positive approach to what we're going to do about the homeless. And then I see a couple recently with negative connotations or narratives about the homelessness problem, right? But I just feel that we are too capable of doing something about some of these issues. And I get it, a lot of them may be on drugs, a lot of them may, like El said, man, I just think, some of them like the country living, which may be true, cavemen, outdoorsmen, mountaineers, whatever you want to call it, people have lived outdoors in that manner beforehand. But I just, it caused me to go out there today and come back and kind of assess the situation. But also, I wanted to research and find out what the city has done in regards to this. So I found an article, and the article was in the Goldsboro Daily News. And actually, this was August 23rd, so almost 2 years ago. And this said that the Goldsboro Police Department, once again, the police department. Now, what about all of the finances in the planning department? Anytime we talk about police, we're dealing with the criminal aspect or law enforcement aspect. It's nothing, kind of proactive. But what the police said that they were going to do is they have seen an influx of homeless people in the city, particularly on the areas of Spence, Royal, and Sunburst Drive, the area that I was talking about. And then they said that things that they had done. Now, this is individual. It says, for instance, the Goldsboro Police Department recently helped a homeless individual get a valid ID so they could start searching for a job, which is noble, right? But that's a Band-Aid, on one particular sore. And once again, there's no guarantee that this homeless guy would find a job. What? He don't have a way to get there. He don't have a way to bathe. He don't have any clothes. So, I mean, that sounds good in the article, right? Major Dean, now once again, this is what I mentioned in the first part of the article about the criminal aspect. Major Dean Edwards said it's worthwhile for GPD to develop relationships and trust with the homeless community, because in some instances they may provide tips on those in the community that may have committed crimes or acted warrant. So instead of finding these people houses, once again, we're going to press them for information about criminal activity. This is what the police approach says. GBD, that's the proactive approach. We're going to use them as informants and get them IDs, right? And, then they said, okay, said the city manager, assistant, Mr. Octavius Murphy, shout out to him. I met him one time. He said they're going to try to understand the needs of the homeless in Goldsboro. Then we'll point them to the resources they need. American Rescue Plan is providing funds. So now we're getting money for addressing the homelessness issues. And Murphy said the city is happy to partner with other agencies to find more funding. So once again, I know about when this funding comes. We can say we are doing something. We're using this fund to find, to help the homeless. The use of the funds could be bringing in some speaker or some planner to provide tips and paying him the funds, saying, okay, well, this is what we need to do for the homeless. So they gave us $100,000. We brought in this company to do some research about what we can do for the homeless, and we gave them the $100,000. That's how that works, and I've broken down that before in the early 2010s when, they was doing that type of thing with the community development block grants, and I might revisit that as well later. But and then of course they said, well, sometimes there's crime associated with the homeless population, of course. And then they said, of course, we'll arrest it. But this article was written in 2021 about what Goldsboro plans to do with the homeless population. Now they call that proactive. Now, if y'all consider that proactive, then we definitely have a lot more work to do. Now, of course, I do have to shout out Pastor Aideen George from the Holy Ghost Drawing Center. There was an article about her. Now, I'm not going to read that because everyone knows what she does. She feeds, she clothes, she ministers. So there's no need for me to go in that article because I know she's been putting in work providing those immediate needs, but she doesn't have the infrastructure, or she may have, I don't know, to build an elaborate building for these homeless people to live in. Now, all of these abandoned warehouses, all of these abandoned boarded up houses, one of my friends told me about the building at Cherry. The big building at Cherry is not in use, right? All of those tiny cottage houses, not in use. So, let's put those to use. What are we doing with them? That may be one solution. And here is another article around the same time. And that is about a man that's supposed to bring 40 tiny houses to the Slocum Street area. I don't know if y'all heard of this. And this article was November of 2011. Now, this is for helping homeless veterans, to get back on track. And I don't think they have yet to be built yet or even started. But I did hear something recently about those tiny houses, and people were telling me, that's where they're going to be built, right on the right side of Slocum if you're headed towards the base. So now that's a noble undertaking. That is proactive, in my opinion. Getting them off the streets, getting them a place to go where they're not staying in the woods at night, being subjected to all sorts of danger, peril, and maybe even abuse in that setting. So now let's go to this WRAL. Oh no, okay, that's the same article. I'm sorry. Now, mind you, that was in 2021. There's some statistics as well. I think they said 25% of Goldsboro residents are living at or under the poverty line, which is telling in itself. So of course I know, a lot of those fall in that category. Now, here we are. In 2023, actually, this article was written and I didn't take time to read it, but I just wanted to show the contrasts in the narrative from 2 years ago. House fire, drug crimes connected to homelessness. It says firefighters found a home 400 block of North James Street, fully engulfed in flames. Hasn't been determined. A neighbor said the house has been used by homeless people for years. Woman who did not want to be named, said the soup kitchen is a meeting place for homeless people and drug dealers, even when it's not open. Said the homeless people have taken over the neighborhood. Now, mind you, this area that they're talking about is only about 4 or 5, 6 blocks away from the beautiful downtown, mind you. Alcohol and drugs are prevalent in that area. 4 homeless men were removing metal from the burned structure and loading it on a truck. Of course, that was probably the copper and everything. Workers at the home called to homeless drug dealer arrested at the soup kitchen. We acknowledge there is and I agree with this statement. We do acknowledge that there is a direct connection between drug use, crime, and homelessness, but we must acknowledge that most homeless people are not out here committing crimes and using drugs. Now, that's where we have the conundrum, whereas, we say, okay, well, people are homeless because they want to be out there, which some of them do, but then what about the others who have just nowhere to go, who have no skills, who fell on hard times and have no family or what have you? I met a lady at Walmart. If she didn't tell me that was her situation, I wouldn't have never known. When I was getting the supplies for the after school program, her and her daughter were talking to me, and pretty much her daughter told me to get out of the way. But we were talking, and and she asked me what I did, and I asked her where she was from. I always ask people questions. I always talk to people, and she was like, "Well, any houses? You know what I'm saying?" I told her what I do, matter of fact, mental health. She said, "Well, you know anything about housing?" I said, "Yeah, I might get some resources." Like, where you stand at now? She said, "I'm not standing anywhere." And I didn't take it any further because, I didn't want to dig too deep. But, there's a issue, and this lady had a daughter, like a 7 or 8 year old daughter. But I would have never known that they were homeless, or maybe they're living out of their car, what have you. But there are regular people out there on the streets that just can't get right, as what they say that was in life, can't get right, right? So there's a lot of once again, there's a lot of people, but there also are a lot of people like the soup kitchen. They feed and give food out, but they can only do but so much. But my cry and my plea once again, as that lady's cry was at the city council meeting, was, look, what are y'all gonna do? We have the resources, we have the funds, if I'm not mistaken. If they don't keep getting missing, like the school board funds, and that's a whole nother issue I've yet to delve into. But that's to see those people out like that, and homelessness is everywhere, but we don't live everywhere. We live right here, so to just pass by them and avoid them in the Walmart parking lot, or talk about that's the ghetto Walmart where all the homeless people be begging for money, or just to give them $1 and say that your job is done. If that is what makes you feel that you have done your due diligence or your duty to humanity, then that's all well and good. But as Jesus Christ said, he said that what you have done to the least of these, that you have also done to me. And he said, I was hungry and you fed me not. I was cold and you clothed me not. So when did I see you like that, Lord? He said, that what you did to the least of these is what you have done to me. So the things that has come upon this city of late may be a sign of judgment. And once again, I'm not a prophet, but it just came to me that God does punish. The scripture says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord's. And so we can apply that into America as well. America started off as a nation that focused on God, but as we see here, we have a lot of problems in this country, and God has been negated from the focus that the quote unquote forefathers initiated or implicated or indicated that God was the forefront of. So I don't know, like I gave a couple of the guys my calls, the guys I talked to, I said anything I can do. I'm not rich, but I do, kind of connect and network with a lot of resources, so maybe I can help you out with anything you need. But once again, we do have people who just want to be out there. Like, people are comfortable. Like literally, when I walked back there and saw, that intricate setup of the one little, I guess I call it a tenement, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, that one little apartment I saw, I didn't want to go any further because I literally felt like I was walking in someone's house unannounced or without permission. That's how elaborate, the setup was. And so that was an eye-opener for me. And then, of course, when both guys I talked to about it, I didn't talk to anyone per se, but one of the guys said, yeah, I lived back there. I got some friends that stay back there. But, to find out that is a dangerous place. And maybe many of the missing persons who have been involved with drugs maybe did end up in that area, but, and I'm not saying this video for, the police or authorities to run back there, because everybody knows they're there now. Let's not play like they do. I'm not saying this to kind of come and sweep them out and you have nowhere for them to go. That's definitely not. But we do have many places to go. I was riding down William Street the other day and I saw the big warehouse. I think that was boarding or something. I remember that boarding thing that used to be over there by William. Right, I think it's right before you get to Royal, somewhere in there. There's a big boarded warehouse, plenty of warehouses, I think right on John Street right there. Plenty of boarded up houses around. I got a paper, I got a list or something, because I'm looking for a transition home myself. I don't think I have that notebook in here. But I have I only took like maybe 2 or 3 hours and didn't get from Slocum Street to a little bit past George Street, and I got at least 50 empty houses that were empty. So we cannot say that we don't have anywhere to put these people at. But what are we willing to invest in those people? A lot of them, once again, maybe veterans with PTSD, maybe those that are suffering from mental health, maybe those who are suffering from substance abuse disorder. I'll use the professional term, which is a disease. I work with people with substance abuse disorder. So a lot of those things are spiritual as well. So for us to once again just kind of placate it with prayers and they want to be out there, that's not what we or who we are called to be. Not as humans, period, but also, if you consider yourself a believer in Christ and a believer in God. So this is, the video for tonight. It was just on my heart to address this because I saw once again the lady at the city council crying out. I said, okay, yeah, I gotta get out there. So I gotta get out there and see what's going on. But once again, a lot of people like the guy told me, said they don't want to talk to you. They just want to be left alone. And I get it, so that's why I ain't go pressing and snooping and, knocking on proverbial invisible doors trying to get somebody. Because once again, I felt it, you know what I'm saying? And they, they got, it's a cemetery right there. They had like a little ghost and goblin thing on one of the trees. I was like, okay, I ain't messing with these people back here because I don't know what's going on back here. But I did, want to, just try to get a little perspective, get some insight, bring the voice of the voiceless into the minds of the masses. But, as we see here, I don't know the limited resources that we have. I know it's probably not a priority. Let the have-nots be where they are. Stick them in the woods, sweep them under the rug. But sooner or later, as this article says, that the drugs uh, and the crime may be linked to homelessness. And once again, people in poverty commit crimes. Like when the mafia were here, and when the Irish gangs were here, they were denied certain things. So what did they have to do? They had to go to the underworld. And we glorify the mafia and the Irish gangs and things like that. But they were some very wicked and evil people because of their financial situation. So people in poverty are going to commit crimes. Where you see poverty, there's going to be violence. There's going to be stealing. There's going to be frustration. There's going to be just enmity and strife and contention, because when you have so little among so many people, then everybody is battling or striving for that little. So those of us with more, must take the initiative, or those who are mentally healthy must take the initiative to rescue those with less, or those who are not mentally healthy in whatever capacity they may be. But if you got any suggestions, any resources, if you just want to call me and give me some advice on how to approach the situation, or you want to work and collaborate, my number is 919-587-7782. Thank y'all. Share this video to those who you may think can help, or can give me some extra insight on why this is, and what can be done, or what kind of proposal could be brought to the city to use some of these abandoned buildings to help some of these people who are displaced or residently challenged, or in layman's terms, homeless. But I hope y'all enjoy this, but I hope it also inspires y'all to get involved more into the community, and not just the things that are glamorous and ritzy, and feel goody, but the things that's going to cause you, to get down and dirty your fingers, man. Peace and blessings, though. Y'all have a good night.